Hey, beautiful souls, and welcome to Around the Kitchen Table, a space for honest conversations, stories from the heart, and gentle reminders that we're all walking each other home. I'm Laura Island, mother, creative, soul led CEO of Sacred Sister CIC, and the woman behind Wise Sacred Woman. I'm a witch with ADHD. And this podcast is where we gather to share the real, raw, and radiant parts of life. Each week, we'll explore what it means to live in rhythm with ourselves, with nature, and with one another. We'll talk about womanhood, sisterhood, creativity, leadership, spirituality, and the messy magic of being a human. So pour yourself a cuppa, get comfy, and let's meet here around the kitchen table, where stories are medicine and every voice belongs. Hey, beautiful women. It's Laura here. I'm recording this in real time, actually on Thursday morning, the 19th of February, in what feels like a really busy week. I'm here in my office, so if you're not watching and you're listening, you're going to hear the creaky chair. It's going to do that creaky thing. I've just got super comfy because actually, feeling this need to ground and to relax and to find a deeper kind of inward connection for a moment. I'm looking at the light on the screen. I'm like, the light's not quite right. I'm looking at like whether I should kind of move my computer. Well, like it's just busy. My brain is busy. I feel like the world is busy. It's busy in my house. It's busy in my nervous system. And honestly, I've really noticed something about myself, right? That there are moments lately where I feel like I just don't have any more headspace. And it's not because something dramatic's happening. It's like because there is just so much input. It's like there's just a lot. And yes, for those of you that know me, for those of you that have been here for a while, for those of you that watch our socials, you all know that, there is a lot on right now. But it's different to that. It's different to that. And I feel like there's this shift in me at 50 and sliding out the other side of menopause. I can say that quite confidently. I had a hysterectomy 10 years ago, so I know that I'm sliding out the other side of that spiritual space that just is recognizing more aspects of myself. So I'm going to share some things that are really raw and real with you today, but not sharing them in a blame or shame or kind of put it all on someone else's space, but in a kind of like, what's awakening in me? What's awakening in me? Because I'm becoming really, really much more aware of myself. And I think that's where I got to this week. I mean, for a start, honest to God, are you not bored with the weather? I know some of you listen to this in other countries, but here in the UK, it's like someone turned the tap on at the end of last year and just doesn't know how to turn it off. It's not raining right now. I say that in a whisper. There's a little bit of blue sky, but in 2 seconds' time, it may well just absolutely hoof it down, and everyone's going to get soaking wet again. And so yesterday, I just was like, do you know how bored I am of wearing winter clothes? Now, that's an unusual statement for me because, as a bigger girl with lipedema, there's lots of parts of my body that I like to cover up. So I'm quite comfy in my cozies. But I realized that most of my cozy things that I've been kind of gravitating towards have been kind of darker in color, right? Autumn, winter, browns, and lovely things. But I was like yesterday, you can see if you're watching this, you'll see that I've got my Volveries on. I did put them on late yesterday, and I put them on again this morning. These are Lucignac Volveries. So I can't show you the close up, but it all looks like fruit, but actually. They're my kind of ode to womanhood. Um, and they're quite funky. And I was like, why do I only wear them in the summer? Nah, it's time for colour. It's time for colour. So I digress as usual. But I say I digress, but actually, there is this point. Even that's been taking up headspace. What am I going to wear? What am I going to put on? What am I going to eat? What am I going to feed everybody else? When am I going to do the food shopping? I mean, I'll let you into a little secret. I haven't been into a supermarket since before Christmas. I finally cracked my own algorithm of just putting in an order online regularly and having it delivered because I can't face it. I can't face the supermarket. We don't really buy much in the supermarket because, anyway, it doesn't, you don't really need to know. That's just another pile of stuff I'm going to tell you that you don't need to know. Anyway, I guess what I'm pointing out, excuse me, why I just turn off the emails. Why do I always forget to do that so it doesn't bing and ding in the background? Because I'm a professional, right? Anyway, I think as women, we don't just carry our own lives. There, I've said it. We carry the emotional atmosphere of our homes, we carry the mental load, we carry the invisible thinking, and sometimes it's just a bit too much, especially when we've got something else going on in our lives. So, right now, I have a lot going on, and I've recognized that I literally don't have the brain capacity to take on anything else. And where I used to just be like, I just don't, I'll just go quiet and just listen. I'll just go quiet. I might not even listen. It's probably something else going on in the background. It's okay. It's just gonna like go on over there. I'm actually saying I honestly can't do this right now. I'm really letting my voice be heard. Let me give you a little example. I love my husband dearly. He's amazing. But when we first got together, there were times where he'd want to organise something and I now know kind of my ADHD needs to know what's happening and he's a little bit more like, we're gonna just go out for the day, it's fine. And I'd be like, well, where? What are we doing? And so I used to just end up organising everything myself. And a couple of weeks ago, he just said to me, you and I are going out on Valentine's Day. You need to be ready for 12. We'll be back after 6. And something in my nervous system just went, oh, I didn't have to question it. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't even need to consider what I needed to wear or do. In fact, I kind of forgot Valentine's Day altogether, which is really unlike me. But I owned it. I was like, I haven't forgotten it. I just haven't done anything. You've got it. And when I gave him the space, there were flowers, and we had a lovely spa date, and it was really lovely, and it was so needed. But on the way over to the spa date, we've got this little project going on right now. I say little, it's got the potential to be a big project. And it's just something else in the mix. And it's something that's just come at this moment in time. And we're both kind of, if it feels right in our bones, we kind of can't let things go. So we're exploring it. But he kind of said one thing about this piece of equipment, but then it was like he had to explain to me all about the equipment and what it did and what it did. And I just was like, honestly, I just don't have the capacity. I know you want to tell me all about it, but when you tell me all about it, I think at some point you're going to test me on it and I'm going to need to remember. And I can't remember right now. I can't retain it. I can't keep it in. I've got too much else going on in my head. And so I call it borrowing my brain power, right? And I'm sharing this, and like I say, I love him dearly. I'm not saying this because he's wrong in any way. I think this is a societal thing that, won't change until we as women start to say no. Like, stand in your own power. I command you to stand in your own power because the patriarchy hasn't just screwed up us as women, it's screwed up our men too, because they don't have that same power. And so there's a lot of wounded men in the world who are, have been mothered till beyond whatever because most of their mums were the first generation to really go out and work. And so, wow, I didn't know this is where this podcast was going. Anyway, I told you it was going to be raw and real. Um, they were the first mothers to go out to work, and so they were worried about what was going on. Their kids are at home, so they made up for it. So they've mothered their boys, and actually, they now don't know how to actually stand really in their own power without it coming from a place of anger and rage. And so I really want to empower my husband to lead in our home. I mean, he obviously can't take full leadership, otherwise, but that's the problem, isn't it? Right? It's like, how do they step in? Where do they step in? So when he asked me things like, what do you think? Should I do this? Would it be helpful if? It's like on the surface, that sounds really supportive. But when I'm already holding 97 tabs open in my brain, what I actually want him to say is, here's what I'm doing. And then he does it. A little example this morning, at 7 o'clock. Okay, so sometimes we sleep in separate rooms. I highly recommend it. I laughed this week because I watched something came up in my dopamine scrolling that was like, why would you be husband and wife and sleep in separate rooms? That's just not love. No, sometimes because we are both big characters, both big energies, both on different frequencies, sometimes it's too much to sleep in each other's stuff, especially when we're both busy. And if you know anything about human design, I'm a manifesting generator. He's a projector. He needs his sleep. He needs his rest time. He needs his downtime. I'm a menopausal woman with an overactive brain. My brain is on fire all night long sometimes. And that doesn't help him to rest fully. And then he becomes grumpy and then we end up arguing. So sometimes, especially when I've got a lot going on, I just need to be in my own soup. So he comes to my room in the morning and I'm already working because I'm awake at 6:30. And some mornings I'm just on it. And this morning was one of those mornings I was just on it. I've got lots to do. My brain is awake. I'm there. And the other thing is if we're in separate rooms, I can just get on with my work in my room. I don't have to come to my office, which is great. So I'm in bed, working away, building a business from my bed or my kitchen table. That's usually how it works. And he came, but of course I was already in the middle of something. So then he's like, he knows that, and he's kind of tentative. And he comes in, and then I realised that I'd had a message from Sainsbury's, our lovely food delivery, and it was due to come between 6 in the morning and 10 in the morning. Great. Hopefully it'll be here by 9. Of course, I get a message that says it's going to be delivered between 9 and 10. What time do I have to go out to take our daughter to the stables? Between 9 and 10. What time does he go to work? Kind of out of his way, but he could pass the stables around 9 o'clock. It was like, okay, so here's the thing. This is gonna cause me an issue. Like, what can we do about it? And there's no straight answer. So I can see he's thinking about it. And in the end, I'm like, look, you just let it go. I'll deal with it. I'll just put a note on the door. I'll tell them I'll be back in 10 minutes. It'll be fine. You go to work, you do your thing. Of course, then at 8:30, before he goes to work, he comes up and he's like, do you need me to do? Can I help in some way? What would be supportive? And I'm like, ah, like I don't have the capacity to answer all the questions. I have now figured it out for myself and I just need to do it. But I'm right in the middle of sending this email and I'm trying to get my head into that. And if I don't get my head into that, and now my focus has gone somewhere else. And so I had a bloody good cry. And I had a bloody good cry, and it wasn't his fault. I had a bloody good cry because I then get into the shame spiral of why can't I do all of this? Why can't I, an awesome human being, be able to calibrate my brain enough to be able to do anything else? And so I couldn't, and so I got upset, and he left. And I mean, I got upset. He left. That sounded like he just left me. He didn't. We sorted it out. He left, went to work. He then calls at 5 to 9 and says, I've done that thing I was going to do. Do you need me to come back and get Gracie? And I'm like, and I just exploded again, not in an explosion outward, in an explosion inward. And so when I have an explosion inward and I don't verbalize it and I don't express it, that is somewhere in my body. That is picked up as a trauma in my body and it's being held there because I haven't allowed that emotion to see itself all the way through. And so I just said to him, I can't answer the question. I'm doing it. I'm trying to get my clothes on. I'm already getting my clothes on, making sure my daughter's up and writing a text message all at the same time and writing a note for the Sainsbury's man on the door. Like I'm already doing all those things. And then you call me and ask if I need you to do anything. I can't answer your question. If you wanted to phone me and say, I'm coming now to pick up Gracie and I'm taking her to save you a job, that would have been amazing. That would have been a whole different response because you've thought it through, you've made the decision on what you want to do and you're coming to do it, and that feels supportive. But you asking me another question because you're worried that you might get it wrong, is where I'm going to lose my shit because then it requires extra thinking from me. And it isn't about blaming him and it's not about men being wrong. It's just about capacity. And when your capacity is full, even kindness can feel like pressure. So that's what I've realized this week. I was getting irritated, not because of what was happening, but because I also hadn't taken responsibility for my own depletion. And that's the point. My daughter's been in a bit of a funk too, teenage energy, heavy moods, processing life. And I noticed how easily that also pulls me under, how quick, like I start matching her frequency. You know, women are porous, we feel everything, we absorb everything. But feeling everything doesn't mean that I have to absorb everything. And that was my lesson this week. Because at some point, I have to recognize and stop and say, okay, I can't keep blaming the world and my outside world for how I feel. I can't blame my husband for asking too many questions. I can't blame my daughter for having emotions. I can't blame the state of the world. I have to take fucking responsibility for myself. Excuse the swearing. For my nervous system, for the rituals that I do that help me to stay grounded, for my energy. And that's not harsh, that's power. And so, what it actually means is it means asking, have I eaten properly? Have I slept? Have I moved my body? Have I stepped outside? Have I sat in silence for even 2 minutes? Or am I expecting the world to rearrange itself so that I can feel calm? Because here's the truth, power isn't loud, it's regulated. Feminine leadership begins in self regulation. It begins with me saying, actually, I'm going to take 5 minutes before I respond. It begins with a hand on my heart and a slow breath and a reset. And when I regulate, the whole room shifts. I can speak to the fact that, you know, there was some I did a recording last night. So currently in the sanctuary, we're in a 6 week amazing rhythm called Rooted, and it's really about how do we clear the roots of our foundations. So back into old patterns, old childhood trauma, not to speak about it and to relive it, but to recalibrate our foundations so that I can work on a foundation from where I am now at 50, rather than work on my 5-year-old little abandoned girl who can't be in the world because actually her foundations aren't solid. And so I did the recording last night, and first thing this morning, there's like, where can I find recording two? And there's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong with an expectation that it's going to be there. But my response was straight away, very quick. Like my hair was on fire. I'm really sorry, I haven't done it yet. Like it's coming. I need to edit it. La 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 la. Sometimes it takes me a bit of time. Da da da. Anyway, what's beautiful in that is that message triggered the sister in that, and we were able to have this beautiful dialogue. And that's the difference when you're in such an open held space where everything is valid and you can speak your mind and speak your truth. And we're going to respect each other's trigger points, and we're going to understand that actually there's magic and gold in those. It was a powerful moment. So it was absolutely perfect. But what I realized is this speeding up in me that feels like the world is on fire and I have to answer everything straight away. And their expectation is I've done the video, so there should be, where's the recording? It should be there straight away. Whereas actually I edit it and I do things with it beforehand. So I recognized again that reality that we are in a very instantaneous world. So we act in that instantaneous way because that's the expectation. A message comes to your phone, you're responding to it straight away. You see something on social media, our body responds to it straight away. We are in a very quick world, and we're now in this fire horse energy. And I'm not in the fire horse energy thinking, I'm not gonna, like, it's Chinese lineage, right? It's Chinese mysticism, but that doesn't mean I don't feel it in the way that it shows up in the world. And so when I've spoken this week about the fire horse and the way that things are moving, it's because I'm feeling it in my being. I can absolutely respect the lineage and the mysticism of where it comes from, but I can feel it. I could feel the shedding of all of the stuff over the last 12 months, and now I'm feeling that movement. But I'm feeling it in the world. And it's like, this is where we have to be careful because energy is contagious. The energy in your home matters, the energy in our body matters. And this isn't woo woo, right? The heart emits an electromagnetic field. You've heard me speak about the field before if you've listened to my podcasts. So when we breathe slowly and intentionally, our heart rhythm becomes coherent. And when we are coherent, our brain changes, our hormones shift, our nervous system calms. And when groups of people do this together, the effect multiplies. This is science. Go and check out Heart Math Institute. I sat in my very first Heart Math space over 20 years ago. It must be over 20 years ago. Saudi Arabia, I was 25. So, 25 years ago. And it opened a doorway for me because it really helped me to understand. And I sat in Buddhist meditation for years afterwards. If anyone's watched the beautiful monks walking for peace, like this is science, but it's also ancient wisdom. We affect each other all the time, all the time. And if I can't take responsibility for the energy in my own house, how can I talk about changing the world? Like, we want change in the world, it starts with us. It's a really famous saying, be the change you wish to see in the world. It starts with us. And that's the piece that's really landed for me. We talk about politics and we talk about injustice and we talk about the chaos in the collective, but the collective is made up of homes, and homes are made up of nervous systems, and nervous systems are made of moments like this. Me choosing to regulate instead of spiral, me choosing to breathe instead of blame, and me choosing coherence instead of chaos. It's leadership. And that's not, I used to have a really big issue with the word leadership and leader because for me, it had always been such a masculine word. The leader, the teacher. Like I had a weird childhood where all of my main teachers until the age of 8 were men. I say weird because actually it was in our school. It was quite odd that it was just men the whole way. And then from 8 to 10, I had the same teacher who was an amazing woman, Mrs. Dawes. I loved her dearly. My mum used to do her hair. It was just like going to family every day, and I loved it. Oh, that brought a little emotional moment. Like, who are those key people in your childhood that, maybe weren't family, just your person? Just your person. She helped me wobble my teeth and get them out when I had wobbly teeth because I used to hate pulling my teeth out. She used to sit with me when it was thunder and lightning because I used to hate thunder and lightning. Sometimes she'd sit under the table with me. Anyway, that's leadership, right? She showed me a different way. She showed me that by coming into my body, it was okay. And so when I used to struggle with the word leadership, a beautiful, amazing person, Blanca, I'll tag her in here. She helped me create our sacred agreement, and she's an amazing lawyer, but she's so conscious and so created. And she said to me when we started to talk about leadership, she said to me, "What does that mean to you?" And I was like, "I can't use the word leader. I find it really hard." And she was like, "Do you like telling your story?" And I was like, "Yeah, everything I do is telling my story. I'm sure people are bored of my story." She's like, "That's leadership." And so I want to invite you all to continue to be a leader in your own life, to be a leader in your own home. I stopped doing our facilitator training last year because I don't want to teach people anymore how to hold circle. Because if you really want facilitator training, there's loads of amazing women out there doing facilitator training. But also, for me to facilitate isn't about me teaching you how to hold a circle. I could teach you that in 2 hours. I could record you a video and show you how to hold circle. In fact, I think I have in many different ways. But to lead in your own life, to understand that to go anywhere in this world, you have to be in control of yourself. That's leadership. And really, if you're going to step into creating spaces for anyone else, you have to be prepared to be in leadership for yourself first. And then what you're actually inviting other women into is how do they lead in their own life? And so that's why One Voice Rising matters to me. when that's dropped in 2 weeks ago, and it did only drop in 2 weeks ago. So if you haven't heard about it yet, you should probably go and check it out because I need you. I need you. Not because it's an event, not because it's content, but because it's a moment where women choose to regulate together, to sit, to breathe, to bring their nervous systems into coherence at the same time. Not to fix the world, although it would be awesome if that happened, but to hold a frequency in it. When women gather intentionally, the field shifts. It already has across centuries and across cultures. It's not performance, this is deep remembrance. You know, when one tree stands next to another tree, it doesn't fight for the place that it's in. It molds and creates and makes way. I'm looking at two trees in my garden and they just make way for each other. But underground, you know that their roots are all connected. Their foundations are solid and they're connected, and they've created this root system under the ground where they share. They share nutrition, they share energy, they share frequency. That is how I see us as women. As women, if we stand solid and we grow a deep root foundation and we allow our roots to connect, that tree out there doesn't go, oh no, I don't want to be next to you. That tree out there doesn't have a choice. It's been planted in that space next to that other tree. It has to find a way to live with it. And in finding a way to live with it, it gets to be in glorious harmony with it. And that's what I'm inviting you into on International Women's Day. You might not even know your neighbours. You might not know the people around you, but they are people. And we deserve to find that place of frequency together. And it doesn't matter, like, maybe you live next door to some people who aren't great people. Maybe they are noisy neighbours. Maybe they are shouty all the time. Maybe their energy isn't great. Maybe they're financially struggling and actually life is hard for them and that causes more stress for them. Change your frequency. If you get annoyed and frustrated with them, you're creating even more of a frequency of annoyed, frustrated, angry energy. That's why often if you see a fight break out in a pub, like suddenly it's not just two people that are in the fight, it's like the whole pub is like, because the frequency has just grown to this anger and this rage. This is why when something happens in a town, like the dreadful, horrible things that have been happening in the States, it doesn't just affect the person it's happening to, it affects everyone. And then through social media, what happens is we all see it. It affects our field, and suddenly the whole field is angry. It's enraged. How can we shift that frequency? Because if it's that easy to create an enraged, angry frequency in the world, it's as easy to create a loving, kind vibe in the world. But it takes the numbers to do it. It takes people to step in, and people will always step into the fight quicker than they'll step into love, always. So what is it to really be in that hot coherence? There's three ways you can get involved in that day. One, if you live anywhere in the UK that you can get to Weston-super-Mare, I will be here with an amazing team of women and an amazing woman who's coming to sing with us. And Ted Waters, she's amazing. I'll tag her in here as well. There's just going to be some really beautiful women here, and we're going to create an amazing kind of workshop space together for the afternoon where we're going to come into deep connection with each other. We're going to heal some of those wounds. We're going to look at what it is to love your fellow sisterhood in your area. We have some amazing refugees coming that day. We have all sorts of people coming, and it's going to be beautiful. So if you can get to Weston-super-Mare, get to Weston-super-Mare. You can get a train out of London Paddington and be here in 2 hours. I'm just saying. And it's from 1 till 6. So you still have time to get back to get the kids to school tomorrow on the Monday. The second way to get involved is for you to book a space on our online ceremony. It's limited, so I need you to do that soon. We can only have 100 spaces on that online Zoom. And what will happen is that wherever you are in the world, you will join us for our ceremony at 4:30 to 5 o'clock, and we will go into heart coherence together, and we will sing together. That's 4:30 to 5 o'clock UK time. Now, I know that some of you are watching this in crazy countries, beautiful countries, miles away. If you have to wake up at 3 in the morning and it's for half an hour for the world to shift, you feel into whether you want to do it or not. The third way is that you just register to get the meditation sent to you, and it's completely free of charge. You get the meditation sent to you and the song, and you learn them and you sit with them. And on that day, you just press play at the right moment in time and you join us that way. The invitation is to bring your voice to the world. So we're going to go into heart coherence, and then we're going to sing, because from heart comes that that movement of energy up, and it needs to come out. Our love is here, but it comes out in our voices. And as women, we know that our voices have been shut down and closed down for centuries, eons, and it's time for us to stop doing all of this work behind closed doors and actually be brave enough to really step out and say, I'm here, I'm ready to make a difference, let's do this. So this is why it's great to meet with your friends, your neighbours in the street that you're in, and to do this together, because the invitation is to take this song out. Go and sing outside. If you're by yourself, go and sing to the trees. Sing where you can raise your voice and be heard. That's how we bring about change. And so I can't do it by myself. I need you. I need you. I need all of you. So you're going to get bored shitless with our socials. You're probably going to unsubscribe from our emails if it's not for you, because you're getting too many emails. I don't give a monkeys right now, because this is so important. So maybe this week the invitation isn't, how do I fix everything? Because actually we're not broken. We don't need fixing. But really lean into, what do I need? Where am I depleted? What ritual brings me back to myself? What breath steadies? You're not responsible for carrying everyone. I'm going to say that again. You're not responsible for carrying everyone. And I was a single mum for 9 years on my own with small kids. Their dad had died, like there was nobody else. So I was responsible, and I felt that deep responsibility for all of them. But every Friday night I went dancing, because every Friday night I needed to offload my week and refill my cup. That's the responsibility I took for caring for everyone else, because actually, if you fall apart, what happens to everybody else? So you're not carrying them. They're responsible for themselves, as are you. And your responsibility to your children is to make sure you fill your own cup first. And the more we teach our children how important that is, the more able they are to be in the world as amazing human beings. So you're not responsible for carrying everyone, but you are responsible for the energy you cultivate. And that is powerful. So if you feel the call together to breathe, to bring your heart into coherence with women across the world, I'll see you at One Voice Rising. It's 2 weeks' time on Sunday, I think. Must only be 2 weeks' time. And until then, I invite you to place a hand on your heart right now. Take a slow breath. And lead from here. I'll catch you soon, sisters. Laura out.